Okay, hello, welcome to episode one of the Rules of Work podcast. This is Yasser Ahmed. I am Vice President of HR. I've helped about 550,000 people on a daily basis with tips and tricks on how to win at work. And I think about 60 million people have watched my videos right now. So trying to create these daily episodes, short bites like a phone call. It shouldn't be no longer than 5 to 10 minutes, where I give you quick insights about the workplace and maybe just reminders on how to best navigate. I have my trusty iPad where I have lots of notes, and because I'm trying my best to keep this as raw as possible but structured so I don't just go off on a tangent. Anyway, today's episode is on rule number one. Now, there's no hierarchy to rules, but this one I think is the most. I think it's important because it's the one we often find ourselves battling with on a daily basis. So, rule number one is about being in control. Now, the precursor to being in control is being focused. And I'll explain because when you want to be in control, you need to be extremely clear about what you want. And when you know what you want and you know the path to get what you want, people will see you're more committed, and they'll be more convinced, right? And I think that's something that we often we actually take it for granted. See, if you're in an argument or you're in a discussion at work and suddenly someone throws a curveball and starts out questioning you on some sort of data and you don't have it and you're like, hey, well, that's actually my department, I actually manage this, not you, so I think I know what I'm talking about. And then it gets into an emotional conversation, and then next thing you know, you're losing the conviction in the room. People won't agree. So, their perception matters. People will agree if they think you're committed and in control. And I think it's almost like at work, we find ourselves in this situation quite a lot where if you're emotional, it almost undermines the entire argument, entire proposal, entire conversation. Um, and I think it's important because at work, especially, you're supposed to be rational. That's the one place in the entire world where rationality is supposed to be there, right? That's whether that's a facade or not, it doesn't really matter. Like that's the one place that there is like this kind of clear cut rule when discussing things. Typically, it's about rationality, and it it's not like at home where you can just say, "I don't want to do that." Because everything is based on facts and KPIs and data. So you couldn't just say, I don't want to do the work today because I just don't. Whereas at home, you could say, I don't want to go to the beach today because I just don't like the beach. Or I don't want to take out the rubbish because I just don't. Obviously, your partner or whoever may have a different opinion. But the point is that it's a bit more easier to say that. And at work, suddenly you get judged straight away. If you just went to your boss and, I don't really feel like doing that. Sorry, no. Well, we were paying you for that. You have to do it. So you have to argue with data and facts and say, well, actually, I don't want to do that because the data suggests that it's actually not going to be very fruitful for us and it's not going to be very productive. And I think we would be better off pursuing other avenues. And I think this is something that we often find ourselves in because when we get into a heated discussion where you come across maybe anxious or angry or um, maybe just very direct, you'll be labeled blunt. You'll be labeled aggressive, and not only that, the worst part about it is people will say that their assumptions will be based on, hey, this person doesn't have strong cases. Instead, they're very emotional, and everything they're saying is based on a feeling or a gut feeling. And so you almost automatically pegged down as someone who's not very strong in their conviction. And it's a very hard stain to remove. And it's almost like, and I drew this quick graph, and you won't see this, obviously, if you're listening, but you can see here it says convinced and controlled. And the more you are in control, the more you convince people. And so you can actually fake it. Fake control to some degree actually is control. But let's say, and there was actually a study done on this in 2003. I know it's quite a long time ago by Gross and John, where they said suppressing emotion can lead to outbursts of higher stress, higher blood pressure, etc., etc. But they talk specifically about cognitive reappraisal, and that's the ability to say the information that I'm receiving right now from this party in the room who's criticizing me or it's coming across quite negatively, it's actually not necessarily a negative. It's actually a good thing. Hey, actually, this person's questioning me, and it's actually a good thing, and I can use it to improve myself. And so reframing the conversation and that cognitive reappraisal to say, do I appreciate the information that's being given to me right now? Does it feel like an attack, or is it someone just genuinely questioning so that we can improve as a team? So just reframing is absolutely critical when you're having these discussions and you feel like you're not in control. And I think the key thing here is just saying something as simple as the next time someone disagrees with you or argues with you is be silent, stop, pause, maybe even ask yourself mentally a question. Is this person trying to wind me up? And if so, I'm in control, so I'm not going to let them. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reply back something as simple as, I realize more information is required. Let me come back to you by the end of the day. And if they're a colleague and they haven't got no skin in the game, so that's a really good point. Let me come back to the group on that particular point. Not to waste anybody's time, I'll move on to the next point. Or if they keep saying, well, actually, we can't really discuss this without, we can't really move on unless we discuss this. Actually, I understand you want this information, but we're here now. Let's focus on the next steps. And I will get back to everybody with the information required so we can be focused on the next steps. So it's almost like a broken record. You just got to repeat yourself. And you do it with a smile, you do it with a bit of patience, you do it with a low tone, you do it with a lot of conviction. Everything falls into place. I always try to embody different people when I'm in those situations. And I always, it's funny because I was a big fan as a child. And then growing up, although he's still very inspirational, just someone as simple as like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. He has this kind of charisma, strong, always seen as brave. I don't admire his intelligence. I don't admire anything else. I just admire his charisma. And it's always that kind of calm attitude, like, I got this. And I think that's and there's lots of people like that in the world, and you can pick one and you can kind of embody that in conversations, in meetings. And, the thing is, I always say to people, like, we're acting, right? We're acting in life. We're acting at work. We're acting at home. We're acting in religious sites. We're acting with our friends. We're different people. So this idea that, I just want to be genuine. Well, you can be genuine. You're just being the genuine actor or actress at work. So to bring this point home, I guess, the first rule is all about being in control, but the precursor is about being focused. And if you're not focused and if you're not in control, what happens is people undermine you and they don't believe in you. And this is true because all you have to do is watch your favorite TV show and you'll watch someone and they'll be, you'll be like, oh, that person's guilty. I know they're guilty. Or, oh, that person's lying. I can tell they're lying. They're acting a bit shady. People can actually literally act the emotions. So if people are acting it on TV and you're getting this feeling of that person's lying or that person's cheating or that person's having an affair or I know who the murderer is or whatever is on TV, trust me, you're subconsciously doing it as well. And you don't realize it. And it might not be true. Of course, it's not true, right? You're likely just getting emotional because you're feeling threatened or questioned. So I always say, slow it down, be in control, ask yourself that kind of cognitive reappraisal, that question. And yeah, take it from there. Hope that was helpful. Feel like don't want to be waffling too much on these. So I'm going to cut it short there. And if you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments. I do reply to them. This is my first episode, so hopefully